Sometimes doing nothing is an important part of the creative process. Something I struggled with for a long time as a creative was realizing that doing nothing will sometimes work. I'm over 10 years plus in owning my own agency. And for the first good chunk of that, I was a young entrepreneur with passion and enthusiasm, doing everything it took to make a young business work, which would often mean 12, 14-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. And I had that energy to do it. I would show up every day and put that in. You know, as a young owner, you're wearing all the hats. I was doing customer support, the accounts, the bookings, hiring, everything that was involved in it was me. So I'd spend the majority of the day working in the business, and then those hours outside of it, you have to work on the business. One of my favorite things to do at that time was to come into the office on the weekend. Now, we're in a shared creative space, this one here actually, and I would look forward to come in on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon because that was the time when no one else was around. And I could walk in and not only not have the head noise of other people around, I kind of walked in with a little bit of ego and a little bit of arrogance by saying, no one's here, no one's putting in the work that I do. You know, I was watching these Instagram motivational stuff and it's all like, you know, you got to put in the work that other people don't put in. And so I had attached a little bit of ego around it. Like, yeah, this is what it takes. So I'd pump myself up into this state, this like ego, yep, I'm doing it. I'm working on the business. And sometimes it would be really productive. I'd come in and I'd fill a whiteboard up with ideas. I'd work out some new marketing strategies. I'd be working on the business to ensure that it grew. And it did. And it was working. But there were some nights that started to happen more and more regularly. Was I would come in about midday or the afternoon and nothing would come out. I might do a couple of little tasks to start with, but then I would sit here for hours and I would look at a blank page or I'd stare at a blank whiteboard. And suddenly it became 1 a.m. I would be so shitty with myself because I had this energy. I was coming into this kick ass and be a badass entrepreneur, and I would do fucking nothing. Like 6 hours, 7 hours wasted. I was sacrificing time with my family, with my friends, with my social life to stare at a blank page, to have nothing tangible or productive at the end of it. I was so angry and pissed off, and it went on for ages. It started really affecting me until I saw something from a writer that said that sometimes staring at the blank page is creative work. That really resonated with me because I'd never thought about it before as creative work, because sometimes when you're in business mode and entrepreneur mode, it's all hustle, it's all getting stuff done. But the best entrepreneurs I know are creative as well. To build a business and to grow a business, you have to do creative things. So then I kind of looked at, okay, how was I actually spending that time when I would come in? Well, you know what? That blank space where I did nothing, it was actually some free time for ideas to come in and out of my head. It was space that my brain could just work on things, you know, during the week. And basically every second of the day as an entrepreneur, you have a million things in your head. I had a million things in my head going on at once. From people, from clients, to the work itself, to ideas. So having that time where I'd sit at a table, it gave my brain space. It gave my soul some time to think about things. And yeah, I found that, okay, there were ideas that would pop in and pop out. There were things about the business that I could think about with some clarity without a lot of distraction, without my phone ringing. The same way that maybe writing in a journal or getting your thoughts and emotions out, I feel like that let out a lot of pent-up ideas and thoughts from the week in a way that wasn't affecting anything else. And that wasn't just like a tangible thing. I didn't have to land the trick, make the shot, you know, like it was just being present in that moment with those thoughts. I also found that it gave space for a lot of those ideas to play out in my head or on a whiteboard. So I would get up and go, okay, there was an idea that I had. I might have the space to just work through it, work through the steps. Okay, this is what I would do. These are the pros and cons. This is what I would need for that to happen. These are the people I need to talk to. And you know what? In my head, I might have gone down this timeline and actually went, you know what? This isn't the right thing for the business at the time. This isn't the right thing for me. So again, if I had that during the week and I was juggling all the other stuff, I might have just thought, okay, here's an idea. I'm gonna have to execute on it. Let's give it to people. What are the tasks? And I'll go back, get it done without thinking about at the end, is it the right thing to do? Or how is this gonna play out properly? So that space in my head was super important. The other byproduct of it was I realized how important environmental spaces were. It started becoming a habit that when I was in this particular room or I was in the empty office studio while nobody was there, it became a space away from work, away from family, away from everything else in life. And that was a dedicated space to do nothing productively or do nothing creatively, to be in my head. That became really valuable to me. That became really powerful. And I'm a big believer that spaces hold energy, the same way that a monastery or a religious site has an energy of prayer and reflection. I think that's from years and years and years of that energy being there. The same way I would come into that room and that would be the space that I would hold in there. Whereas the actual studio or my desk, they're the spaces where I could be productive. At home, I could do the home thing. At the gym, I'm doing the gym thing. So these energies, I think, are aligned to a space, and it was really important to have that. So I wanted to share that because I know that myself, I beat myself up about that. I hated myself for the longest time for not being the hustler, for not being productive in that time. But in reality, what I was doing was finding peace for myself. And I think that in a world that is really crazy, we're getting bombarded with information. If you're working as a creative, then there's a lot of other stuff going on with your business, with your creative ideas. Finding peace is a priority that I'm really glad that I took on board. So if you are finding yourself just staring at a blank canvas and getting frustrated, I would suggest giving yourself some grace, allowing that space to be there to do nothing. Doing nothing can be creative work. As long as there are other times that you're being productive and hustling and getting shit done and doing whatever you need to do to get paid, find that space where you can let your brain and your soul just be a bit free for a little bit.